All right, so in this video, I wanted to show you a couple of tips for managing your follow-up and really staying on top of your deals. And you can do that both by keeping track of the deals themselves and reviewing that list, as well as your activities. And by doing the two, it's almost impossible for things to fall through the cracks. If you're reviewing your deals on a regular basis, going through the ones that are either open or everything maybe that's open with a closing date this month, and reviewing those, as well as setting the next step for each of those deals as an activity, probably a task in CRM. It's really hard for things to fall through the cracks. Now, one of the things that you can do with Zoho CRM that makes this a little bit easier is not just going to your task list and seeing what's on your list for today or what's on your list for the week, but you can actually search and say, show me a list of contacts that don't have an activity scheduled. Now, my demo database is pretty small, so I'm going to stick with all contacts, but you could make this your list of prospects. And then what you can do is you can filter, and most of these fields are filtering for different things about the contact, but you can filter your contact list by whether or not they have an activity scheduled or whether they have an overdue activity. And this is not obvious until you check the filter contacts by activities box. And you see all kinds of great options here. So in this case, let's say we had a list of all of our prospects, and then I wanted to see which ones don't have a next activity scheduled. And so I'll check off activities, and I'll just say without open activity. And then apply filter. And then any of them that don't have an activity scheduled will pop off the list. And then I can go to that contact, and I could take a quick look at it, and then either take the next action. Maybe I'm due to give Brad a call, or I can go in and schedule another task. So maybe I want to call Brad, and I want to do that on Thursday. Okay, and so now I've set that. Okay, and if I back up to my list, he drops off the list because now he has an activity, doesn't qualify for our search anymore. And this is going to help me make sure that I have an activity scheduled with each prospect. And it depends on your preference for working, for how you work with this. You may not want a task for every prospect. You may want a task, and I really suggest you have a task for every deal. And the deals section have a similar feature. So if you go into deals, you can also say, show me the deals without an open activity. Okay, for me, if I have something in my deals, I always want the next step. If you're managing a sales team, I suggest that that's a really good practice to have with everyone as well. Make sure that you always have your next step on each of the deals. And the way that works is in Zoho CRM, you can tie a task directly to a deal, but it's also going to tie back to the contact itself. And that makes it really easy to work with. So for example, let's just clear our filter here. And I want to see all of my deals. So here you can see there's a deal and it has an activity scheduled. There's a follow-up scheduled for July the 13th. Now, if I go to that contact, if I go to John Smith, I can see that there is an open activity there as well, follow-up. So I see the same activity at both the deal and the contact, and as well as the account level. So if I schedule the task against the deal, then it makes it really easy for me to make sure that each of my deals have a follow-up activity. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to show you there is a different way for reviewing your deals that you may not have noticed. Right now we're looking at the deal list view, and this has a list of all of the deals for a particular view. Right now I'm looking at all of them, but you'll probably set this to closing this month or a list of all your open deals, a little more specific. And then you can look at it in a list format, but you can also hit this little icon over here, and this will sort them based on the stage. And now I can see, in a bit more visual way, what stage each of these are at. And the thing I wanted to really show you about this view, in addition to the fact that I really like how these are broken out, because I can move them along. If we got a job here that we've quoted, and now we're in the review stage, I can actually just drag this thing right over and then it recalculates my total here. But what I wanted to show you here that has to do with follow-up is that there's an exclamation mark if there's no open activity. And then you'll see a red check mark if the activity is overdue. And I don't think we have any here right now, but if we schedule a task and it's not due yet, it's going to show up green. So let's take this one here. We've got an email marketing implementation, and there's no scheduled task. So now I'm going to click right on this icon, and it's going to allow me to create a task here. And I'll say check in with, I'll say client because I don't remember the name of the contact. Otherwise I'd put that in there, check in with client, and we'll set that for the 29th. I'll save it. And now you see that this green check mark shows up. That means that there is an activity pending for this deal and it's in the future. So this is another way to review to make sure that you're staying on top of everything around the next step for your contacts in general, but also really focused on the deals. Again, so that nothing's falling through the cracks. You're reviewing your list, moving the stages, making sure you've always got that next step scheduled.